For today's video tip of the day, I'm going to teach you how not to be fooled by multigrain bread. Now, most of us know that when it comes to our nutrition, we want to focus on slow digesting or low glycemic index carbohydrates. These are the carbohydrates that won't spike blood glucose and insulin levels, which can lead to fat gain. So when it comes to bread, a high glycemic or fast digesting bread would be white bread, plain old white bread. And the reason for this is the way that the wheat is actually processed. So white bread is made from wheat. Wheat is naturally brown due to the bran, as you can see here, which is the outer layer. It's rich in fiber, also contains B vitamins and trace minerals. And when they process white bread, they remove the bran as well as the germ, which is the small nutrient-rich core that contains antioxidants as well as vitamin E, B vitamins, and healthy fats. That leaves just the endosperm, which is the soft, spongy, starchy center. And when it comes to making white bread, that endosperm often is bleached as well to make it even whiter. But for those looking for a low glycemic or slow digesting bread, coming across a loaf like this with a big multigrain label on it might mislead a lot of people. Now, this bread reads multigrain. That may sound very similar to whole grain, like this Morton's whole grain bread, but multigrain is not the same thing as whole grain. Now, what you'll see on this whole grain package of bread by Milton's is it'll actually list the grams of whole grains per slice of bread, as well as fiber. And then when you turn it over and read the ingredients, you can see the very first ingredient on the list is whole wheat flour. The ingredients are listed from highest concentration in the product to lowest. So with a whole grain bread like Milton's, you're getting that whole wheat, as well as, it's not just whole wheat, it's whole grain, meaning there's whole grains, there's brown rice in there, there's malted barley, there's rolled oats. This is a true low glycemic whole grain bread. Great for most meals, except for post-workout, when your better option is actually the high glycemic, fast digesting white bread. Get that insulin spike, helps enhance recovery, drives the creatine and carnitine into your muscle cells, better recovery, better growth, better strength gains. Stick with white bread when it's post-workout. And whole grain bread the rest of the time. But now let's get into the multigrain misinformation and mislabeling. Let me show you what they do to trick you into thinking you're buying something healthy when actually you're not. As I mentioned, there's a big multigrain label right here on this loaf of bread. You might think, oh, multigrain, that means healthy. It's going to have more than just wheat. It's going to have other things as well. Well, let's turn this bread over and let's look at the ingredients list. Now, the first ingredient right here is unbleached but unriched flour, which comes mainly from wheat flour. Yes, the number one ingredient is wheat flour. Now, remember on the whole grain bread label, the first ingredient was whole wheat flour. Here it's simply wheat flour, which means it's regular flour that's been stripped of the bran, just the endosperm. Now, it hasn't been bleached, so it won't look as white as white bread, which is yet another way that they fool you by keeping the bread slightly browner. Oh, it's not white, it must be healthy. In fact, if we slice this bread open, you can see that it's not quite as white as the white bread. And as you can see right here, the multigrain on the left, the white bread on the right, the multigrain does not look quite as white because it hasn't been bleached. So yet it's another way that they fool you into thinking this bread is much better than this bread. Now, if we go back to the ingredients list on the label here, we will see, again, like I said, wheat flour, but then we have malted barley flour. We also have cracked grain and seed blend of wheat, barley, yellow corn, rye, brown rice, soybeans, and some flaxseed, millet, oats, triticale. Now, it does have these ingredients in them, meaning, yes, the multigrain is slightly better than the white bread as you're getting some more nutrients from those other grains that are added, but those grains are so low on the list of ingredients that you're really getting basically a plain white bread that has some of these other grains added to it. So it's truly not a whole grain. So the multigrain is not necessarily a low glycemic or slow digesting carbohydrate. Likely, if you compared it to white bread, this multigrain probably has a lower GI and therefore slower digesting bread than white bread. But if you compared it to a whole grain bread, it's going to be much higher on the glycemic index and therefore digest much faster and likely still spike your blood glucose and insulin level. These are the little tricks that the food industry uses to trick the consumer into thinking that they're purchasing something that's much healthier than it actually is. And today, with literally everyone being health conscious and worried about their nutrition, it's a way to prey on the consumer and sell them something that they think they're getting when they actually aren't. But don't worry, you guys in the gym army get to stay ahead of the curve and not be fooled like the rest of the world is. I hope this tip was helpful to you, and as always, stay gym army strong.